Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how you can SSH between instances on Google Cloud. Now there's essentially two ways you can go about doing this. One is on a project-wide basis and the other is at an instance level. The first method, you're basically creating a private and public key on your host machine and then adding the public key onto Google Cloud, and from there all of the instances that you have in this project have access to this public key. So this means on your host machine you can then SSH into all of the instances that you have on your project. But you have to remember that the host machine has to have the private key as well. In the second method, you have it's at the instance level, and basically you add your public key onto the instance that you want to SSH into. This way, you can SSH directly from your host into that specific instance, and this means that you can't SSH into the other instances that don't have this public key. So I hope this gave you kind of a broad level overview of the methods available. So let's get started on how you can go about doing this. Alright, so the first thing you'll want to do is log on to your Google Cloud Console and then pick a project. Once you've done this, just go into Compute Engine. And you'll see that I already created a couple of instances. I just did this so we can speed up the process, but basically I just chose the default configurations and changed the zone to have this created. So if you haven't already done that, just pause the video and create these instances. The first thing I'll do is I'll click the SSH button for my host instance, and you might notice that this will actually create a project-wide SSH key. So we can see that in the metadata a bit later, but I'll just get this running first. So in this instance, this is basically going to act as my host instance, so that I can SSH into the other instances. Right now, I'll just check whether I have any SSH keys, and I do because I clicked the SSH connect button, and this allowed me to SSH into this instance. Now, for example, I want to do this manually. What I might do is first create the SSH key pair. And I'll just name this public, just purely for demonstration purposes. I'll just name the public method. Because I'll be having two keys, I'll separate them with this. So that's all good. And now when I check the folder, I have the key that I just created. So what I might do here is just find out what the public key is. My bad. And this is what the key looks like. So I can copy this, go back into here, go into metadata, go into SSH keys, and then edit, add, and then add the key into here. As you'll notice, there's already two SSH keys in here, and that's because I pressed the SSH button earlier, and then it automatically created this keys. So I add this just manually, and now I have this extra key. So what I can do is that I can now SSH into the other instances using this key. So I'll just demonstrate this. So I'm referencing the private key and then the username that we gave it earlier, just a public method. If you want to confirm that, that is also in the metadata, and it is shown. It's showing you the username. And now, say I want to SSH into instance 1. I can use the internal IP. And I'm now public method in instance 1. Now if I want to do the same for instance 2, I can check here. This would be the private internal IP for instance 2. Yep, so that's all good. So that works. So that is on a project-wide basis. Now, let's say I want to do it just so that the key that I'm using will only be from the host instance to one of the instances that I have available. So what I'll do is I will first I'll create the SSH key that I need. So I'm back on my host instance, and I'll just do something similar, and I'll just create another key for, and I'll name this instance method. This will be the user. Same way, copy this, and instead name it instance. Alright. Now I'll just check the folder, and I have the key. So what I'll do is I need to have a look at the public key. I have it here. Just copy this like previously. Now say I just want it on instance 1. I'll click edit, and then I'll go down to SSH keys here, and then I'll add it, the public key into here. What I'll do is I'll block project-wide SSH keys just for demonstration, and then I'll just click save. Yep, so now we have this SSH key in here. I can go back onto my host instance, and then similarly I can do SSHI, and then I'll reference the key, the private key. And use this, the internal IP. Yep, so that works. And just to show that it doesn't work with the public key, I'll run the command from before. It's denied. I'll also try to use this key to access the other instance that I have running. So this is the instance 2. And it's denied as well. Alright, that's it for me, guys. I hope it helped you out. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to let me know. I've got my contact details in the description. Yeah, otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.